This is Back to Back.
Yo, what's up, back-to-backers? This is Willy Joy. Welcome to the show. This is Back to Back. This is my podcast. It is a very hot day. My house is poorly insulated. My cat is currently melting on the floor of my studio. And my air conditioner just flipped a breaker in this old-ass house. So, my day is going great. How is yours? I hope everybody out there is doing well, and I am very excited to bring you this episode. My guest on the show today is Cesqueax. There's nobody else like this guy in the game, instantly recognizable, both from his appearance and his music. He's just a unique individual. We always run into each other in the weirdest places, the most random times, and every time it's like seeing a long-lost brother. I just love him. He's got a new track out right now with Looney Tunes. It's called Shake It. It's on the new Barong family compilation called Shanghai Nights, which they actually recorded in Shanghai. The whole crew went out there. We talk about the whole thing in the conversation you're about to hear. We're going to get into that in just a minute. Before we do, I want to make sure that everybody listening is subscribed to this show. If you're new, if you're listening in for the first time, we do this every week here on Back to Back. And if you don't want to miss another episode, all you got to do is click subscribe right now on whatever you're using to listen. That way, every single week, all the new episodes are just going to pop up on your device, on your computer, or Siri's just going to yell at you randomly about it. It's going to be great, but you got to make sure to subscribe. You can also email me with any questions, concerns, anything you want to share, anything you want to talk about. backtobackpod@gmail.com is the email address. And you can also hit me up at Willy Joy or at backtobackpod on all social media. Another thing that we do every single week is we bring you the Back to Bangers Spotify playlist, which is a playlist that I personally update every single week with all the music that you hear us talking about on the show. Been getting a lot of great feedback. People seem to really like it, so I want to encourage everybody to go check it out. The link to that is in the description of this episode. So, for this conversation with Cesqueax, we met up super last minute in LA. I already had my whole day planned out there, but then I saw him tweet that he was in town. And he's Dutch, man. He doesn't live close to me. He doesn't even live in this country. So it's always a rare opportunity to see him. And every time I do, it's just so good. So I hit him up. He was working in the studio. He was busy too, but he made some time. I came through, and man, it was just so good to catch up with him. He was recording more or less in this crazy storage container. It was one of the weirdest places I've ever seen a studio. But honestly, every time I see him, we're crossing paths in a weird place. The first time we ever actually met, we were playing a festival together in Australia, and boy, did we have a day. I just remember it was insanely hot, like just sweat dripping off of everything. But man, just love the guy. And I love his music too. He really is just one of the most unique people that I know in the game right now. His perspective is really refreshing. The way he makes music is really interesting and different from a lot of other people. And this dude can have a conversation. This is one of those podcast episodes I really like because my favorite episodes are the ones where I feel like the listener can walk away with a really good understanding of who the person really is that they just heard. Something authentic, something that just feels like you actually just hung out with them. And that's exactly what this is. I think Cesqueax's brain just moves a mile a minute, and this whole conversation is just a fun, crazy, wild ride. I want to get into it right now. Don't forget Cesqueax's new song with Looney Tunes called Shake It. It's out right now on the new Barong family compilations, Shanghai Nights. Go get all of that, but for the time being, this is me and Cesqueax back to back. Let's go. Now we're sitting in a shipping container.
We are.
This is definitely one of the weirdest places I've recorded this show.
Perfect. Well, I don't know. I think that's a good thing. As you know, I hope to be one of the weirdest people you are interviewing in the best way possible.
Oh, absolutely, man. That's why we had to do it. I mean, I think, what was the last time I saw you? Was that in Australia?
Exactly. That was during Christmas, which is crazy because Christmas in Australia is hot.
Yeah. It was so hot.
In Perth.
Right, in Perth, we did that outdoor festival.
Yes.
I remember sweating my ass off for sure. It was what?
Breakfast.
Yeah, shout out to Breakfast.
Shout out to Aussie in general.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And what? Slink was out there. Collie was out there.
First time I met him.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah, I was going on after him. You were playing the stage. That was sick too. That was the first time I saw you perform.
I think that might have been the first time I saw you too, man.
Wow, look at this.
That's amazing. Your whole performance, I still remember. I think about it because you have such a unique style to your performance. Like I watched you play and I felt like I was watching, like you're an amazing hype man. But when I say hype man, I'm not talking about sort of like the EDM hype man that people think about. It's kind of this like old school mentality, like hip hop mentality, keeping the party going. I don't know. I mean, do you agree with that? Is that like a conscious thing?
I'll take that. I'll try to take that as a compliment. You know, I try to turn it into the most positive feedback I can because I don't prepare for a show to be a certain entertainer. I just feel like, okay, this seems good, and then I try, and then if it fails, it fails, and if it, if there's anything I could be better at, that's definitely what I'm going to try. So what you see on the stage when I'm performing is a result of trial and error through my whole career.
And I mean, how has that evolved over time? Like, were you always so, open and like upfront and just putting yourself out there when you started performing?
I mean, as a person, for the people that know me, they probably know that I'm like, very high on energy and, just be, running around as a kid, always trying to, express myself and be seen or be heard in any way possible. And I used to play the drums when I started out as, what you might say, a musician.
When did you start playing?
When I was 7 years old.
Okay.
My parents were very supportive in that, and they put me on like drumming classes. And then I had a phase in which I joined a band, like a cover band. And within that group, I also always wanted to be heard because I was like, I don't go to band practice just to practice. I want to go there and evolve as a musician.
Yeah.
And all my band, how do you say this? The people that are in
like
the
band members,
bandmates.
Yeah,
all of the band members. They were just like, they saw it more as a hobby. They went there and they were like, oh, when are we done? Can I go home and just like chill and like play computer games or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, yo, like, can we write a song? And then nobody ever heard of that. And I was like, okay, cool. So pretty soon I started doing like rapping on the side, which was like super funny. Like, because my grandfather was really into computers, and he was the one who always kind of like showed me that a lot was possible with computers. So he was like, "Yo, Daniel, you wanna work on a computer more with programs like you wanna cut videos, or you wanna like edit photos like Photoshop, or you wanna work on music."
Wow.
And then which was crazy. And I tried all these things because I was already playing a lot of video games, which I really liked. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. So besides playing games and having fun, I can actually be productive and make something that's my own. So that's when I started rapping. First, I started rapping to like J-Arms beats, like instrumentals of like famous rap songs or whatever.
Well, right, and this is all in Amsterdam, right? Or in
it's
the
not
Netherlands?
The Netherlands, yeah. So a smaller town, way smaller than Amsterdam.
Okay.
Like I'm actually from like a farmer village, so
really
small town. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So growing up, the computer was like a portal, to a different world.
Of course,
which is crazy. So
when over there, what kind of culture was reaching you? Like you say you started rapping, you were playing in bands. Like what were you listening to at that
anything,
age?
yo. So the thing about my parents is that my father always used to play guitar, but not from sheet music, because he was never really able to read notes.
Okay.
So to see my father, which I have a great bond with my parents still, they're still together too for almost 25 plus years. So to see a grown man in the household play an instrument, without following the rules of sheet music or whatever. That was very inspiring. And my mother, which is funny because that's on the other half of the spectrum, she was more of a curator. So she would like turn up the radio if there's a song that she liked and dance to it and be like, hey, Daniel, like it's okay to dance to this. Like you can move. And that would mostly be like funk, soul, Motown, like hype music.
Yeah.
So
they were encouraging you at a young age.
Definitely.
What did they do for work?
So my dad used to work in a factory. First, he used to work in a cardboard factory, and later on, he was working at a gas company. And my mom was a sociotherapist. So what she did was like re-socializing ex-convicted.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
Ex-convicted. Yeah, which was crazy because that combination too is like my dad was always like, you got to work hard or study hard so you don't have to not that I wouldn't have to do the job that he was doing, but more like if you want to do something creative. Cardboard factory is not the place to be.
Right,
and my mom was always like, stay on the right path because else you're going to be like the people that I work with.
Sure, of
which
course.
are like,
Yeah, and that's valuable. I mean, I think that's just good parenting, right? Because every parent wants their kid to have a better life than they did.
Exactly.
And to be
you hope so. That's what you hope.
Or at least have more opportunities, know?
Right. So that's kind of what happened. And of course, I had my rebellious, phase. So rap and hip hop was definitely a thing where, swearing and all these things. And there was even a time where I was like, yo, Mom, I'm going to drop out of school, because Kanye West and 50 Cent also dropped out of school.
Right.
Look at what they did. Then my mom was like, well, you know how many Kanyes and 50s didn't make it,
Yeah,
And I was like, oh,
That's some good advice right there.
That's education right there. So, so I had a phase of rapping and then... so what happened was, which is pretty funny, it evolved, and in the Netherlands, the culture of rap music was huge. Street rap was huge. Because we look at the States so much, clothing wise.
Yeah.
We look at the U.S. and what happens there, and even like street rap, like gang.
And you were rapping in English, right?
No. I was rapping in Dutch.
In Dutch, okay.
Yes, and English, but like I knew that to have an audience,
Right.
This is way before I knew social media. This is way before I knew platforms like SoundCloud or anything like that. So I would just rap about regular stuff. And what happened was I got into altercations. So I got into actual kind of like beefs and stuff.
Man.
So what happened was I would have an opinion about Susie from the end of the street, down the road, and if I didn't like her, the difference was I had a microphone at my grandpa's place with the computer, and I could cut a record and say some nasty stuff about her, and put it out because there were platforms on the radio or on the internet called like street poets or whatever, literally translated. Where you could upload your record and just have a little like MySpace kind of profile and have a record and just like share it and be like, yo, these are my records. And I could like talk about Susie, talk about Danny, talk about like anybody, like Joe, and say some stupid stuff until like there was a turning point and people, start showing up to my house and be like, take that record down, or, we're going to like...
Your audience got too big.
We're going, because, and that's the thing, because I had two sides. Because on one end, I was like, oh, wow, my career is growing. On the other end, I was like, yo, if I keep going like this, I'm not even going to have a career anymore.
Right,
because, so shortly after, I got my first gig, which was like $50 in like a PE. How do you call this?
Yeah, like a gym.
Like a gym.
Yeah.
But it was the first point in which I understood that I was able to make money with a product that I made by myself.
And what age was that?
13, 14.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big realization at that age.
$50 at that age,
man.
I used to be a paper boy like back then. So I didn't used to make that money.
Oh, man, $50 when I was 13, I would have been over.
I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed, but I had to learn that was another portal, that was like, yo, I can create financial stability off of being creative. But I had to let go of, talking trash about people.
Right, of course. I mean, you got to mature, right? Like we all have to do that as artists.
Exactly.
Of course, if you're 13, you're just going to want to talk some shit about something.
I mean, until that's what I mean with trial and error. So,
right.
So what happened was...
Well, I mean, before we even get into it, how did your parents feel about you? They had been encouraging about the music, but once they saw that it was becoming a serious thing, how did they feel about that?
So let's say serious thing means possible threat.
You're sure. Yeah.
So
to them, right?
Yeah. To me as well. Like, you know, you got to imagine having kids, and then your kid has a hobby, and the hobby becomes lethal.
Was it really at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was from such a small town that if somebody had bad intentions, it was...
Yeah. It was kind of black or white.
Yeah, which is crazy because a lot of people that know me from now and from the artist that I am right now only know fun. You know, I'm a loving person. I'm a very positive guy, but I've also had my times, you know, where you used to like go to school carrying weapons or whatever just because you thought it was cool, or just because you were like paranoid because you were rapping about somebody and he was showing off weapons or whatever. And you were like, oh, that's kind of like how these things go. And I didn't want to be in that culture. I didn't want to be in that nature. So what I did was I tried to study my music. So I was like, okay, so if I say the sky is green and the grass is blue, people come up to me and they say, that's not true. You're crazy. Like, you're tripping. But if I would take an instrumental song and would call it bluegrass, nobody would care. Because it's not an opinion. It's just subjective. How do you call it?
Yeah, subjective. Yeah.
So that's when I started producing. I got a Reason.
Yeah.
Propeller had Reason. And
was your grandfather kind of...
Yeah, he was kind of like helping me out with that. He was like, okay, you can try this. I started off in like Magic's Music Maker, just like making, copy pasting clips and whatever. But afterwards I was like, I want to actually orchestrate or like compose a song.
And was this what you were doing for fun, basically?
Fun.
Like, this was just fun. Anytime you had free time, you were doing that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing was, even if I didn't have free time, so I remember there were times that I would work way past midnight on which I think is a young age to do these things, you know, because like you don't have a job, but you got school.
Right.
And I would like go out of school early or work till way past midnight and wake up like trashed because something of what I wanted. Because this had nothing to do with people motivating me like, oh, you got to have a career. Because all my friends thought my music was trash. And all my friends would go out and play soccer or go fishing or whatever, you know. So I was like, I was a weirdo, you know. But I already was with playing games, you know, because like everybody would actually go playing soccer. I would play FIFA.
Okay.
You know?
I mean, at the time, did that make you like anxious? Did you feel bad about that like you were the only one with those interests? Or did you just kind of double down on it?
I don't recall feeling like an outcast.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that I was.
That's probably the best way to do it then, right?
Yeah.
That's like, you know, blissful ignorance, right? I feel I was kind of the same way when I was that age. Like, I was definitely a weirdo. I was definitely doing a lot of stuff nobody else was doing. And probably a bunch of kids thought I was a fucking weirdo. But I was kind of in my own world about it.
Because you will hit those marks that will satisfy you. So if you got a song and you got a test at the same time.
Yeah.
But you're actually, you get to finish a song and you fail at the test. There's still some extra satisfaction to you, whilst if your classmates don't have that, they'll just worry about the test. And they might, you know, turn to other things. And that's what kind of happened later on. Once I started doing beats, I started like rapping to my own beats. And at a certain point, I kind of let go of rapping completely.
Yeah.
And just like producing. I got like, you know, there was like one record that was more famous that were like, they got like, played on the radio with like a demo drop thing, you know?
Right.
Like a talent show or whatever. But never really something that pulled through. And I was still playing drums and I was still in the band, but it was not really doing anything for me. So kind of what happened is I started surrounding myself more with people that were into this stuff. And it was easy for me to not be offended by my friends telling me my shit's trash.
You're right, yeah.
And then once again, my parents started, you know, discussing with me, like, what do you want to do for college? Because I was, like, about to graduate high school. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? And I wanted to do, like, American studies or something, like international studies or whatever.
Were you good at school? Did you like school at the time?
I was good at creating goodwill with teachers. So let's just put it like that, you know, like, because I'm very chaotic. And I know for a fact that if ADHD is really a thing and I could be diagnosed, that's definitely something I might have. But my parents chose, in my opinion, very wisely, to not diagnose me so I wouldn't have a stamp on my archive, which would say, Daniel, don't forget he's a weirdo. Like, you know, no, but that's the thing.
No,
because
I know
people
what you
forget
mean.
that, you know, like people forget that if you would go to the doctor, if you would attend to a school and they will get your archives or your dose shit. No, how do you call it?
Dosage.
No. I mean paperwork.
Oh, yeah. I know
Paperwork.
what you mean. Yeah.
And they would see something like that, they're going to treat you different.
Right.
So,
Well, and here, I mean, at least in the U.S., there's a big problem of over-medication for that kind of thing, too,
oh,
you know?
So what happens was my parents go like, okay, cool, you're this kid. And they would do everything within their power to like help me out and teach me how to be my best self. And it's funny because my mother's a sociotherapist, so she's really good in like figuring out cognitively like how stuff would work in my mind. So with all this in mind, they started looking for another school other than American Studies or, you know, international or whatever. And we found the Academy of Pop and Culture, which is crazy.
The Academy of Pop and Culture?
Exactly.
Okay.
The fact that exists.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
wild.
real.
It is, but it is. Academy of Pop and Culture.
Where is that?
It's in Leeuwarden. It's in, that's a city in the Netherlands.
Okay.
And it's funny because there's a writer from Triple J Radio, Craig Shufton from Australia, who actually went there and wrote a book about it.
Oh, shit,
Who
okay.
said it's like there's only one place like this in the world.
What was it like? Like, what would you study there?
So you got two studies, it's art or music.
Okay.
But it's like an actual college. It's like one level below university. What happened was we went to the open day.
Yeah.
How do you call it?
Yeah, open house.
Open house.
Yeah.
I walked into the school, which was already looking like some kind of Hogwarts, like walking up. And I got in, and they were making music with food and like objects. They would use like a pillow, and if you would push it, it would be a kick drum or
Interesting.
or like a stick, and if you would hit it, that would be a snare or whatever.
Yeah.
And all these things and connected with like lights that would go off. And for me, that was such, how do you say it? Nice impulses, and it really satisfied me. I was like, whoa, this is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. Which is funny because I'm still not graduated. I'm still studying.
You didn't make it through it? Yeah.
I'm still in there.
Oh, okay.
I'm still in there. I'm graduating. I'm like, all I got to do is my thesis.
You got to do that for mom, man.
Yeah, no, I got to do it for me though.
Yeah,
that's
true.
what they say too. Like you got to do it for the culture. Like if I do get the chance to be very successful, it's nicer to be that guy with a degree.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, as an example for the kids.
Like, what did you have to do to get in?
You gotta have like a portfolio, of course. You gotta do performance.
Yeah.
So they're actually checking you for like interdisciplinary. It's hard. It's like an expensive word, but
No, that's a good word.
Interdisciplinary performance. So you had to like show up there, and besides just doing. Showing your portfolio, you actually have to sit down with people you've never met, and you get like 1 hour or so or 2 hours to create an interdisciplinary performance, which means you had to use 3 disciplines, which is music, art, and performance.
Okay.
So you would have to end up with like a performance, and you had to like write a song to it and have an image or make a
some
cloth
kind of presentation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you get to know people so quickly, or you cannot say that that's how the people are, but you get to see so many layers or facets of a person through like the fact that you have to achieve something. So somebody's work ethic,
right,
or somebody's patience,
and you can tell how people's minds work too. You know, I think sometimes way faster than just having a conversation with them. Because if you're just talking to somebody you never met. You know, if I'm talking to a stranger, I'm not going to be as open with them as I'd be with a close friend. But if I'm making a piece of art with a stranger, like I can't really hide my creative process.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. Did you feel like you got the chance to open up about things like that here in the States?
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, because for me, like I grew up, I was always a quiet kid. I was introverted. I was kind of shy and awkward. And then when I would do something creative, it kind of like unlocked something for me,
exactly.
You know? And so I felt like even if I still felt awkward around a person, I could do art with them or music with them.
Wow.
And they could actually see like the real me, you know?
Super cool.
Yeah. So for me, it was like kind of freeing. And I felt like I could, like I study people, I always watch people, and I felt like I could understand other people. It's the same way even now. Like if you and I collabed on a song, which we should do at some point.
Which we should do at some point, definitely, most definitely.
Yeah, like I feel like even though I know you, I feel like I would feel closer to you at that point?
Oh, yeah.
Because when I see how somebody makes their song, when I see somebody producing music, then I see like the behind the scenes of their brain.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. The backside of it, yeah.
Yeah, like I see how they make connections. I see, because you have to be honest,
Exactly.
right?
It was so much easier to get through high school knowing that there was a place where I could safely land after a leap of faith.
Right.
So
you didn't have to worry about it, like what was going to come in the future.
But yeah, that was a platform in which I really started developing as an artist.
And at what point did you become aware of electronic music, dance music? Like, I always think of the Dutch and the Netherlands, like you guys have just always had dance music, but was it always in your life like that, even at a young age?
That's a super good question. I think the main thing about the Netherlands is the size of the country. So if a country is that small, like right now we count 17 million people, 17 million people for a whole country.
Yeah.
I think that's the amount of people that live around LA.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
So if something happens, everybody kind of like knows about it. So when dance music became a thing, and everybody could understand that was a thing. Everybody could understand that once, like for example, trance was a thing and it was hot, that you could fill a warehouse full of people and just have a good time and rave, and it's all Gucci.
And it becomes kind of a national identity a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because I think about here...
Over time, yeah.
Right. Because I think about here, if there's like some new sound coming out of San Francisco and I'm living on the East Coast, I might hear about it, but, I don't really know what it is.
So this is, it's so interesting, and I think it's so valuable you are the one saying this, because we could say like, oh, techno is so German, and that's what the whole world says, but to us, it's like, oh, it's our neighbors.
Right.
Like, but French house, when you listen like Daft Punk or like David Guetta or like Ed Banger stuff or whatever, is also different, but it's still super close to us.
Right. But you're right that each of those does have a stronger identity, I think, because you can say French house, you can say German techno. Exactly. There isn't really, for America.
You could say that about Detroit house,
right?
Or you could say that about like New York rap or LA rap,
absolutely,
which are very different things.
So, what was your perception of the U.S. growing up? Like, what pop culture made it over to you? How did you think of it before you made your first trip here?
So you the last question was about when I got into electronic music. So electronic music was just one of the genres. So to me, electronic music was not more special than anything else. Like I could listen to funk, jazz, soul, whatever, hip hop, or whatever, and like it just as much. And that's also what I translate through my music. But
was it on the radio?
Oh yeah, everything was on the radio. We even swear on the radio. We hear bitch, shit, and fuck all the time.
Right.
So we also wouldn't alter our vision on the genre. So we wouldn't say rap is more graphic than electronic music, because you get the full version of the art form.
Yeah.
I listen to every genre,
right?
But hip hop,
that was the big one.
Yeah. Whether it was Dipset, whether it was UGK, or like, Bim Bum B or whatever from South Pimp C, whether it was Bone Thugs and Harmony, Tupac, like, oh my God.
Was it all American stuff, or was there Dutch rap you were listening to too?
I was listening to Dutch rap, but I wouldn't believe Dutch street rap, because I know it's not like that.
You know too much.
I know, I've been to people's neighborhoods and I was like, dude, you guys are like not G.
That's so funny.
That you guys are no gangsters. So it's like, and because the poverty wasn't as real,
right?
And that's the same thing. Why is blues such a good genre? Because the people who wrote it at first were actually in pain.
Yeah,
they were blue.
Yeah,
they were hurt. So
yeah, it's one of the most authentic forms of music I think there's ever been.
Oh yeah, that's why I rap. Rhythm and poem,
right?
RAP, rhythm and poem, R&B, rhythm and blues. That's why these things to me, are very real. So if I would listen to a record of like 50 Cent talking about selling drugs or whatever, I would be like, yeah, because if not, you wouldn't be out here hustling so hard because you could have gotten a regular job.
Right.
And when they do it in Holland, I was like, dude, if you would sign up a form at the local like grocery store, you get that job. Stop talking about this.
They'll take care of you.
They got you. So
getting back to the electronic music, would you say it was in college that you really started to make a lot of dance music? Really started to have that interest?
I always listened to it, but making it was later because I thought it was the easier type.
Okay.
You know?
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I thought like jazz or freeform or like, you know, like hip hop would be more, had more depth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dance music, I think that's easy to think because, you know, it's like...
I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that's my...
Yeah, I get that, man, because it's repetitive. It's 4/4. Like if you're just like on the outside, you're like, oh, this is simple. Because
like if I would listen to dance records, they would always start with like... If I would listen to like a rap record, it would be like...
Yeah,
you know,
nothing's the same.
You know, like, you know, and I had a lot of CDs containing a lot of different genres, but they always had like these mix CDs, you know, from like radio station, be like, hey, the summer mix, and it would be like all these records, and I would hear like, this ain't nothing but a summer jam, nothing and brown skin and singing and dance, stuff like that. Once I got more into that, once I had the patience, once I got older, had the patience to skip through the intros.
Right.
Because that was a thing.
You would just listen to like the first 5 seconds.
And I was like, nah, why does the first 5 seconds sound the same?
Yeah.
Because there was no hip hop record which the 5 seconds would sound the same.
Yeah, you might have ADD, man.
Yeah. I'm not even in doubt.
Had you been to raves or anything like that?
I have never actually really attended concerts in my life. I've only been to... My godfather brought me to Backstreet Boys once.
Oh, amazing!
In the Amsterdam arena, which was super amazing.
I'm sure that was insane.
That was crazy to me.
Oh yeah,
to see.
I can only imagine the production must have been crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
They gotta imagine. I'm gonna give you just one detail. Their intro was them on hoverboards with smoke, emerging from the smoke. You gotta imagine. I was like super young when I saw that.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was probably like 7 or something.
That's so crazy. I would have lost my mind.
I did. That's why I'm here now. Yeah. But no. But you know, that happened, and I bought a ticket to see Skrillex once.
Okay.
So, you know, Backstreet Boys and Skrillex.
Yeah, hey, man.
There you go.
Point A to point B.
And I've never met Skrillex.
Oh, really?
I've never talked to him.
That's so crazy,
I've
man.
never had a conversation with him. I've never had a email like conversation. I never ever had any type of never.
He's the most open dude, man. I'm sure he's played a lot of your music.
Exactly.
So,
that's what I know. I know for a fact that he's been playing a lot of my music. I don't know how he feels about it. I just know that he plays it, and I think that's just crazy to me because I feel like we have so much in common. Even the haircut, you know, which was not the intention.
No,
trust me.
Well, and he only did one side. You kind of went all the way with it.
The mohawk that kind of got out of control.
You just got the craziest style in general,
Thank
man.
you, bro.
Every time I see you, where does that come from? Like, not even just you, but like I was thinking about this on the way over. Like Dutch people are just funky in a weird way to me.
Yo, real talk, because I can see that in Scandinavia a lot.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Scandinavia is even quicker, but they're less expressive about it.
Right.
It's the weather, bro.
Really?
If it's this cold as it is in Amsterdam, like in Holland, all the time, you're going to dress in layers.
That's true.
So you're going to, instead of out here, you just shorts, shoes, socks, underwear.
Yeah, you can't get that creative.
Shirt.
Yeah.
Boom. That's it. When you go to Holland, you got like shoes, socks, maybe even 2 pairs of socks, you know, underwear. You got a short pants, long pants. You got a shirt. You got like a tank top, shirt, button down,
right,
sweater on top, jacket, backpack,
right,
hat, you know, air warmers,
sunglasses,
along with it. Yeah. So that's kind of it, and combined with me being just a crazy guy.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that you're right though, man. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe there's something else to it because it's not just fashion. It's the music too. You know,
there's everything, and it's people trying to be expressive. And I think that there's a very psychological approach to it, which would be, if it's cold and you're in your house, you're going to need more power to communicate to the other person.
Right.
So you're going to be like, hey, I'm going there and am I going to see you? Yeah. What are we going to do? Because I don't want to be in the cold all day. Like, what are we going to do? Be more clear about things.
Do you think that, you were saying the Netherlands, small country, it's, one from one side to the other, like a wave of music can just go across the whole country, right?
Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
Diagonally, 3-hour drive.
Right. That's a good way to visualize it. And I mean, do you think, because I think of, Dutch electronic music, whether it's Dutch house, whether it's the tropical stuff, any of it, it's so unified, if somebody says like, oh, he's Dutch, like I get a picture in my head of like what that music might sound like. Yeah. And we don't have that in the States. Like we were talking about this before, but was that something you wanted to be a part of? Like, did you think of it in those terms that like you were kind of putting on for your country at some point?
So all the legends aside, because I have a lot of respect for people like, when I say legends, you know who I mean. When I say
that's exactly
big room
it, right?
legends, I mean Chesto, I mean Armin van Buuren, I mean Hardwell, I mean Afrojack.
Absolutely.
Exactly who I mean. So
Layback Luke,
all of that, all of these guys. And this is funny, I know all of it. I'm not as close to Armin or Hardwell as I am to Afrojack or Martin Garrix or whatever. But we all know them, and the country's so small, you cannot run away from your history.
Right.
So if you're a regular schmegular degular dude, doesn't matter if you're like Afrojack driving like 3-4 Ferraris and driving, flying your jet to McDonald's to get some, like, I don't know, like, as if it's
he's
nothing.
Probably done that, yeah.
But people know where he's from, people know who he's been with, people know how he grew up, and kind of just accept the fact that he's this flamboyant, has this flamboyance.
When did you first meet him?
I probably have seen him walk in the same room or around for a longer period of time. But I think it's only been like 2 or 3 years
that you connected on like a professional level.
Yeah. Nothing is really professional with him though. Everything is like very playful. But in a good way.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys made music together,
yes,
right?
We did. Yeah.
So what was that studio experience like?
That was crazy. I don't want to get into too much because I respect his privacy, but that was crazy.
All right.
But let me tell you this. Aside from us kind of like acknowledging each other in music.
Yeah.
So like everybody, look at Avicii coming up off of Layback Luke's platform,
right?
Like his forum,
right?
We have this thing called ADE, which is huge, but the country's so small,
right?
So the distance between, if you are into electronic music, the distance between your legend and you is so small,
right?
You can go attend the class.
And for the listeners who might not know, just real quick, what is ADE?
Amsterdam dance event every October. Annually, a 3-4 day festival.
It's like industry focused,
Yeah, but let me. I'm trying to say the intention is to be 3-4 days, but the weeks are surrounding around it. How you have people flying in the week early and be like, "Hey, let's meet up." It's meant to be a platform for bookers, festival organizations, writers, artists, listeners, everything involving electronic music, but right now it's just becoming like, because it's Amsterdam dance event, so it's supposed to be dance music,
right?
But it's about everything, man. It's kind of what WMC is supposed to be,
right? In Miami, exactly.
But in Miami, I feel like in Miami you just cannot.
No,
everybody just go pool. You can't get business done in a pool, bro. You cannot get business done in a pool.
No, not at all. But I mean, it seems like ADE has become almost like the European hub for that. Like
for the world.
Right, yeah.
So I always advise everybody to go there. So even if you don't have tickets to anything, even if you don't even have a hotel or whatever, you can go. Whatever phase you are in your career, if you love music and you want to play a role in the dance or any type of... Actually, if you want to play a role in the music industry, go.
Yeah.
If you have not been and you are struggling in your career or you have questions, that's going to solve it.
And I think that it's so valuable to get that kind of perspective too, because, us here in the States, it's a selfish culture and we focus on ourselves, right? And we think that the US is the center of everything.
Of everything.
Right. But then, you go out to Europe, you go out to fucking Australia, wherever it is, and you see that, this music is everywhere.
Everywhere.
And it's living in all of these different places. Yeah, it's not just at home. And I always wonder, for you, was breaking into the US like a big goal, like a white whale kind of thing? Or were you just, because you've always traveled everywhere. Every time I see you, you're in a different country, flying all around. How do you look at the US now for dance music? Do you see it as like a central thing, or do you see it as kind of just like one more place where dance music is living?
I don't know. I don't know what to say, bro. I think that...
Because I think dance music in the U.S. is in a weird place right now.
Oh, yeah. But it's such I don't want to say sensitive, but it's such a impactful subject. Because America, you know, the United States in general, bro, like, God save America, bro.
Yeah. No, we're in trouble, man.
But that's... Yes, but you guys have always been.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
So it's just a bit more, a bit less sometimes. And
how is the scene here different from what you see traveling the world, going other places?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this: the problems are bigger in this country. So people want to run away more. They run away harder.
Yeah.
So the drug culture, the rave culture, it's so intense.
It's a little more out of control.
Right,
sure.
and I bet that almost every DJ who you would ask this question would say, "I love it, man. People go out, man. Look, they're the biggest fans. They got like the biggest banners, and they got them totems, and you know they dress up. The girls dress up with just like tape over their nipples."
That's
and,
so
and
funny
show up.
because I've had people say that.
Exactly, but they keep stating it as something positive because it may harm the health of their career. I'm in a place right now where I don't have to worry too much about the health of my career. I'm good. I'm set. So I want to address these things.
And that like party culture, that kind of like lack of responsibility or awareness, do you see that more here than you see
than anywhere else?
Yeah.
Than anywhere else. And that's just not...
That's interesting. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, right. And this is funny because as long as artists that are not from here or the artists that are from here are not going to address that, you're going to have the same thing happening over and over again. So like financially... the States have never really been a big catch for me because I don't buy into that stuff.
You're not trying to put out that image.
Yeah,
and you're
that
not
energy.
To, like,
I'm not trying to like... I actually quit smoking weed last week.
Nice.
After forever. And I'm a huge marijuana fan.
Last time I saw you for sure.
Yeah, dude. Which was not in Australia. Yeah. I did not smoke weed in Australia. I didn't do it because I'm anti-weed. I just did it because I need more clarity for myself.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody should take that responsibility. I'm not saying I'm never gonna smoke weed again. I'm just saying like, yo, in this phase of my life, I'm carrying such responsibility. People look at me a certain way. I am not going to promote that image for now. Like, this is not the moment for me to, you know.
Right.
And it just makes me more clear, and I get more stuff done.
Well, and you're right that can be an easy trick too, right? You can just get up on the mic in front of a crowd and say like, "Where are my weed smokers at?" And you're going to get a response. Yeah, a huge cheer. But then if that's not your authentic self, then really, you know, what are you portraying?
Exactly. And before people might call me hypocrite because I do write songs about this.
Right.
I do say like, yo, puffing on this or like drinking this or whatever. But I'm trying to keep it as minimum as possible. Like,
you have the license to do it. I mean, it's the same way we were talking about 50 Cent. Like 50 Cent raps about like guns and shooting people. He's not doing that now, but you know, he's
get the strap.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know, but all I'm saying is like there was probably a period in his life where he had those experiences. Yeah. Now he can talk about it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's promoting it. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
But I want to bring it back to you, man. I want to talk about your music and your sound. Just to take it back to college for 1 second.
Yeah.
You're there. Are you DJing at that point? Or when did you start DJing?
Teaching myself. Again, my grandpa, bro.
Yeah.
My grandpa was like, I've never really talked about this with him. I need to do that because he's getting older. He's getting, sick sometimes.
I mean, it's amazing. The grandparents in general are almost never the technology people. Yeah.
Yo, God bless my grandfather, man.
Sounds like he was really a gateway to a lot of this.
Which is just crazy to me because like it's so funny because like because my grandmother, my grandmother passed a while ago, but. She was also a huge influence to me.
Yeah.
Because we stuck together, man. And it's not even that times were that hard. It was just that we celebrated and we wept together.
Yeah.
Going back to DJing, he bought me a MIDI controlled DJ set Like a very small one, Hercules
yeah.
MK something. I was so grateful, but I was so stubborn that even then I had a hard time like installing the driver CD to my laptop. And I was like, I didn't even have a good laptop. I would use my mom's laptop, and I would do shows with my mom's laptop.
Right.
You gotta imagine.
Right.
But this is the thing. I would just do house parties in a city that I studied at at college, which was far away from where I was raised. And bring my mom's laptop, which would contain like her personal like information and everything, and because that was a thing. Like, making money was not the main goal, but I was like, dude, I'm making money off of something fun.
Were you playing your own music at that point? Like,
not really.
Okay,
no. I was too afraid to do so.
Well, how did you put out music for the first time? How did that come about? From my perspective, like you've had a long time association with like Barong and with Yellow Claw.
This is the thing. Barong family didn't even exist when I was around the people that created that. You know? So when you talk about this phase, when you're talking about the phase, when did you start releasing music?
Right.
I didn't even know Yellow Claw. I didn't even know the genres. Like Moombahton was hotter.
Right.
I remember that all I wanted was being featured on the Dankles. I don't know if you remember the Dankles.
Yeah, that blog. I remember that blog. Yeah.
And that was like a big deal to me.
It was. Yeah, that was a big blog.
I remember this. Okay. When I attended college, I was lost for a little bit. I didn't really know what to do. And I was so like caught up in doing all these like stage performances.
Yeah.
The school works like this. You have 1 year of four semesters where they tell you what to do, and then you have 3 years of doing whatever you want.
Okay.
I've been on the school for like 8 years now.
You're still doing whatever you want.
Yes, for like 7 years almost.
Yeah.
So the first year was very like you have to do this and that. And at a certain point, I had to make a project of like records. So and I totally lost my appetite to produce because I was so into like trying to DJ, doing all this thing. So I let go of DJing. I did start a job DJing at a bar, so it was more like work.
Right.
And I was like really emerging into this adventure of producing. And my main inspirations were The Weeknd with his like balloon thing.
Yeah. The early mixtapes.
Clams Casino, like stuff like that. I listen to everything, but those were the things that I was like, oh, they have such a specific sound, and they were so wavy. So all my songs that I would make in like the first year of college or like second year of college would have like reverb forever.
Right.
I met my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend. Wow, Chloe. And she was a huge muse, man. Like she was such an alternative person with like a urban background. So
she was turning you on to different stuff.
Yeah, turning me on for sure. Yeah, turning me on. Yeah, no, but like I was like an urban person turning alternative.
Right.
So we kind of like crossed paths with that. And
well, and it's interesting. You said you were attracted to these people who had such a unique, specific sound, because I feel like you've always had such a specific sound. Like you,
that's a quote, bro. You can quote that. If you want to become like a legend, if you want to become the greats, study them, but don't become them.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to become you, because the only reason why they are where they are is because they aren't like nobody else.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to hear another Weeknd.
Exactly.
There's already a Weeknd.
Exactly. You get so bored and agitated.
But was that a thought for you early on, that you thought you should develop like a signature sound? Were you even thinking in those terms?
Yo, so this is funny because along the way of this whole interview, I feel like things are coming back to me. And this is the main thing that kind of helped me through becoming successful. So getting to know myself and becoming a musician is one thing. Becoming a successful musician is when you have to tap into what's going on in the world.
Right.
Like
connecting with other people.
Exactly. The main thing that I've learned is that I had to study a genre, even if I was not into it. Because I had to understand how I could gravitate towards, around, or away from other music.
Right.
So if I'm like, oh, it's going too much this way, I don't want this influence to be in this song, I know exactly what to take out or what to add to it. So if it was like, oh, Moombahton, 108 BPM, boom, da, this particular snare, this thing. And I would make certain records like that, but I couldn't make them snap. So then you get the theory of like sound design.
Right.
Other than just being creative.
And that's kind of what allowed you to like sculpt what you wanted to be your sound. So you could kind of pick and choose from...
Yeah, because I didn't have a sound.
Well, and that's, I shouldn't say that you have a sound exactly.
Now,
I mean,
now I might have.
I mean, I think you have a signature, but that doesn't mean that you can't make anything you want to make.
Yeah.
You know?
But I wasn't even worried about that. But I
Yeah.
mean, like, you gotta imagine what it's like. So this is especially for the people that listen to this or you know, whatever. This is especially for the musicians, producers, artists that are in the process of getting to know who they are. It's consistency. If you are the guy that used this particular snare, or this particular 808, or this particular rhythm or cadence, you're gonna be that guy.
Yeah.
Whether you're gonna be successful or not.
Yeah. And I think to even expand on that, it's about looking to find the opening, like seeing where the open lane is. And if that's something you're good at, you know, you fill that space, right?
Exactly.
Like, because I think so many people, and this isn't even necessarily about music, this is just life. You know, so many people try to compete at the same game. They try to do the exact same thing. It's what you were saying about, you know, the Weeknd or whatever. You can't be that guy.
No, exactly.
You know, you have to
Exactly.
you have to learn from that guy, watch what they do. But
Be
then,
inspired by it, yeah.
Exactly. But, you know, you can't.
Can't be that guy.
If somebody's at the top of the ladder, you're going to be
People
below
forget.
them, you know?
So some people forget that he had that pineapple haircut. Because now you can laugh about it, but that was his signature
Yeah, it
look.
was. It was.
Next to the sound, you have a look.
Right.
Some people forget Drake didn't have a beard.
Yeah, it's true.
You gotta understand that people evolve.
Well, and I mean, we're skipping around a little, but where do you see what you're doing evolving to? Like, you know, what we're here in LA right now. You just told me you were working on a movie soundtrack,
Yeah, scoring,
which is crazy. Yeah. Is that something you're trying to get more into?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you this. It's so exhausting.
Dude, I bet.
Oh man, it's a beautiful experience, and I'm definitely gonna do this later in my life.
Yeah.
But being an artist full time, touring, trying to make your own records, and taking responsibility for $1 million, like, you know, for a budget project, for a big budget project,
yeah,
and people that, you know, have kids and stuff are involved, so they're like, you know, depending on you,
right?
And I feel ashamed sometimes that I cannot deliver certain things in time. The project's literally open right now. I'm working on this right now.
Yeah,
you know, sometimes I feel ashamed that I cannot deliver on time. But, you know, it's a situation that I created myself, so I have to learn from that and have to, you know, move on from that. But, yo, like, musically, it's a beautiful platform and opportunity. And if you go to a movie and you're into music and you listen to it, it does something to you.
Right.
And, like, Hans Zimmer does. I'm not a fan.
Right.
Mike Cervello is a fan. He's a fan of Hans Zimmer. I'm not a fan. I'm not that much of a fan because I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah,
I respect his skill. I respect exactly what he does, but I'll get to him later.
Right.
Like, I'll need to sit down with him and talk to him because I know it's possible.
Right.
I know that he's like a musician who has writing camps.
Yeah.
Who has people involved. It's not just him.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact. Same thing with like Kanye West. I love Kanye West. Oh my God, I love Kanye West. For so many reasons. But when it comes down to his music, I know that he's not in the studio alone.
Yeah, he has a bunch of writers.
Oh my God.
It's a group effort.
And 9 times out of 10, his stuff is sampled too. So,
right.
So, you know, nobody does his stuff by himself. Going back to me sculpting my sound, that's what I did. The first couple things that I did getting into the music, and that's what a lot of people used to do, and what I think people need to not stop doing, is remixes and edits.
Right.
And try to find your angle on things so people can understand, like almost like a relay race.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I just ran this whole bunch, but you got the same stick that I picked up there. You know, you got to understand.
That's why I think all of us as DJs love remixes and bootlegs and all that, because it's a way where you can take something everybody already knows and say, this is great, but like, this is how I hear it.
Yeah.
This is what it means to me. You know, I've always loved that. And it's a way we can just share the culture more, you know, instead of just saying, look at me, it's a way of, you know, saying like, this is my contribution.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But wait, I have to, just because I don't think the tape picked this up, you just said something that's kind of crazy to me. I don't think I knew that you don't use plugins.
I don't use plugins.
At all.
At all.
That's so wild, man.
Only the onboard Ableton plugins.
Right.
Yeah. But so this is the thing, because once again, this gets to me because we're talking.
When I think, just before you even get into it, I think that probably goes into that signature sound too,
Yes.
right? Like you figured
100%.
out a way to do it differently.
100%. But I didn't find out. It happened. You know, it just happened.
Right.
And this is exactly what I was talking about with my mom's laptop. I would have to DJ a certain way because I had limitations.
Right.
And once again, that's the same thing. Why rap is good sometimes, because you have to do certain things a certain way because you are limited in your options. So
I think limitations in general can be amazing for creativity.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So just to wrap all this information up, I just have to get it, man, because I slowly started to understand how to sharpen my tools and how to become better at what I did. And then I was like, okay, cool. How am I gonna do this? So I was doing this shit, blah blah blah. And then Matt Deason was such a big, Matt Deason's probably still doing a lot of good stuff. But back then, Matt Deason was the only thing.
They were the gold standard, man.
Only thing. Like, respect to Dave Michael, you couldn't even come close. No label could come close to the platform they have given to all of us, honestly.
Oh, yeah, 100%, man. I felt the same way. I still do. For people who are interested in, like, really pushing the envelope, really weird sounds.
You, me, Nightmare, Party Favor, just name it, Slander, anybody.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah, they've been huge, man. I don't know where any of us would be without them kind of, like, leading the way, you know?
So what happened was I did kind of like a couple Moombahton records. They were pretty shit. Nobody listened to it, blah, blah, blah. Then I did this trap thing. And it was, because I was urban, so it was close to my heart. So I could like put in all this energy. And what I would do is like, I got into smoking weed a little bit, so I'm not promoting this. But what happened was like, I wouldn't mind touching all these knobs, cutting vocals and stretching and doing all these things. I had this classmate that introduced me to Ableton. My laptop died. I had to work on my brother's desktop. He had a Fruity Loops. I could not work with that. I never released a record that was from there, I think. Maybe like 1 or 2 edits or some shit. I started working at Ableton. And that's when shit really started getting serious.
That's when it all came together.
Yeah, freedom. Like musical freedom.
Yeah.
Because I started like chopping stuff up and I did this one. So what happened with R. Grime? So R. Grime used to be Clockwork.
Yep.
Clockwork did a remix competition for Titan.
Right.
And I remember that I wanted to attend the contest, so I downloaded the stems, but I didn't have the patience to wait for the competition to be over. So I just put it online.
Oh, man.
And they were like, dude, do you know you're like not part of the contest anymore? I was like, yeah, but like this is a song.
Yeah.
And what I would do was like implement my face, because the cover was a watch with, I think, RL's face, Henry's face. I don't think it was Henry's face. It was probably just a kid's face.
Probably just somebody, yeah.
But what I did was just take a baby picture of me and put it in there, stuff like that.
Right.
And with the Kimbra remix, or those were all bootlegs. You had to like watch out how you call them, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because if you call it remix,
yeah, then you got to pay somebody.
Yeah. So what I would do is like implement myself into the images of the original artwork.
Yeah.
I remember that people didn't really care about my music, right?
Yeah.
I came from Holland. Nobody cared. This was before I talked to Slander or anybody or Derek or Joshua or anybody. I just had some of this music, and I remember putting this Titan remix online on SoundCloud and going to sleep. This was at like in the PM.
Yeah.
And waking up the next day and my phone was just glowing, like hot, heated. Battery was almost dead. I was like, what?
Right.
What is going on? I had my SoundCloud notifications on, and it was just like...
Just going crazy.
Because one person liked it, shared it with another person, and this was the moment that social media...
Yeah.
The moment that you would go onto a website, like something, and go to another website to tell your friends.
Yeah. It was that era. SoundCloud had so much power then.
Oh my God.
It's insane.
SoundCloud and Matt Deason was like a power couple.
Yeah, 100%, man.
So I was like, damn, of course, when I go to sleep, America's awake for another 8-9 hours. So that's when I started tapping into the US.
Man.
And I was like, yo, they are actually consuming my product.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. That's a great story. What drives you about making, like, do you have like a deeper goal than just, making music that is, is good to you?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what is the driver behind all this? Because you're one of the hardest working, like, every time I see you.
God. or whatever that may be, the higher meaning of life.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Because I know for a fact that I have not done this by myself. It's impossible. I know and it's not true. It's not true that I've done this by myself. you know, because of my parents or because
Sure,
of friends or people
sure.
I've met along the way. But I know that there's something going on in this world that's like constant. And that's like a certain type of energy without getting too wavy. It's a certain type of energy, and you can tap into that or you can tap out. And doing too much terrestrial stuff will make you tap out of that. So if you're too into drugs, for example, you might get those plaques and you might get those, you know, those platinum awards, and you might get the money and you might get the shows.
Yeah.
But eventually you will tap out of the connection you have with your inner like artist. Right now I'm becoming more of like a stable artist, let's say that. I've been touring so much. Like I've done like 4 Australia tours. I've done already like 4 to 5 China tours, while I only started touring China 1.5 years ago or something.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, and this is already my 5th run in the States that's been more than three shows. And still, you can fall off really quick, you know, when it comes down to that.
Yeah.
But music is the key. So I've also been like working on like major records with like huge artists and like, you know, becoming more of a writer right now. So
yeah, I've seen you like posting up in
the
the studio with a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
How's that experience been? Like,
Great.
You know, trying to help somebody else's vision.
Great, but it's like I'm an instrument.
So you can just kind of play a different role, right?
Yeah. So I just go in and I'm just there. Like that's the thing. I'm working on 3 projects right now. So I did all these Oh My God EPs, which were like straight club oriented bangers. And I'm definitely gonna stick to that for a little bit. So I got that coming up. So I'm definitely got like, you know, you can expect like an EP with like at least 4 records that's gonna be club oriented, catchy hooks, bouncy. And it's funny because in my EPs I never changed it, rarely changed the tempo. So it's always 150 BPM.
Right.
So you know, like people know exactly when I have a Cesqueax record, they know exactly what it's gonna sound like. They know exactly how to build up. So I have never really changed my ingredients or my formula. So, but that's coming up. Second project, something that I'm working on right now is like what I've learned along the way from all these like huge writers. Because I've been like, yo, shout out to the masters, man. Because I've been working with some people when I did, like for example, when I did the Justin Bieber record with David Guetta.
Yeah,
it's not just Justin or David. I've never met Justin. I just got, you know, I'm grateful for the trust they put in me to work with his vocals or whatever. But I met David and I met his camp. And same goes for like Martin and his camp, or Afrojack and his camp, and everybody's camp. You know, there are so many talented people in there, and they will teach you so much about music, but they also teach you so much about the industry that I have to take that into my next project.
Yeah.
So the second project is like, it's gonna be more like oriented with like, you know, poppy breaks,
right?
Or like more catchy, less experimental. But
yeah,
like
I know
still,
what you mean. Yeah, and maybe like a little more collaborative.
Yeah,
working with writers and that kind of thing.
Yes. But you know, I've been recording so much of my own vocals, like singing and rapping. So definitely expect more of that. And then the third project is me really emerging as a performer, you know, like as a pop performer.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually like singing on so many records and people are like, is that you? Almost all the taglines in my records is me.
Well, and this goes all the way back to what I was saying at the very beginning when I first saw you perform, man. Like your presence up there.
I just learned through life experience, because I also did a lot of things that people didn't like. And people were like, dude, tone down.
Yeah.
We don't want this. And
when I liked early on, you said too that you would take the feedback from the, like, even as we're talking, you're analyzing it. You know what I mean?
That's why this could take forever and we gotta like cut it.
No, yeah.
I would literally sit here all day.
Yeah, no, and I could too, man. But no, we'll wrap it up. I mean, I think we covered it. Is there anything else you want to get out there?
Yeah, I would just say, like, for the people that are worried, because I haven't really released a lot of shit like in the last 1.5 years or so. There's so much that I want to do, but and it's coming, and I got it. Like, I got shitloads of records that are good.
Every time I see you, you play me 10 new records.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I have it, and I know it's good, and I know it's gonna change. But the industry, but music is in a weird place right now.
Yeah,
industry is in a weird place. The world is. So I think that I've learned a lot. Like I said, like same with like quit smoking weed. Yep. I would advise to everybody out there, you know, if you're an artist or if you're a creative being and you want to develop and do the right thing, that you got to start looking in the mirror and stop thinking about financial profit. Stop thinking about likes on Instagram or whatever because static, man. Too much static in the world. Like the fact that we can still like meet up and it's just like one text.
100%.
And the last time we saw each other was on the other side of the world.
100%.
And you know, we've been through so much and this is actually like a catching up.
No, it is, dude. That's like the best part of me doing this show is I get to catch up with my friends.
This is so cool. You know, like that. And I mean, shit, man, we got a lot of shit going on and I'm working on a merch line. Oh, not even a merch line. I'm working on making my merch more of a clothing brand. Because people always ask me, yo, dude, you're so fashionable. What are you wearing? And I would love to be able to say, that's my brand.
My
or
own
like, you know,
shit,
that's my own
yeah.
shit. So, and I know it's crazy because I know how depressed Kanye was when he tried doing fashion, you know? So,
But hey, man, I mean, you don't have to be on the Kanye level. You can do it on your level, you know? Like
I know what you're saying.
What happened to him doesn't have to happen to you.
No, truth. So that's what I'm saying. Yo, more fashion, more music. I'm writing a lot of records. I'm trying to write timeless music. So I'm working with these people. I'm actually working with this guy named Giorgio Timefort. He writes so many successful records for so long. And he has this term where he says, what did he say? New classic. People forget that music can be timeless.
Yeah,
and we got to
yeah.
come up, stand up, make more new music, look sexy while doing it, you know, look really cool while doing it, be creative, be nice to each other, you know, and that's exactly what you can expect from me, yo. That's why my name is Cesco.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you know, that's what I represent. And I'm out here with Willy Joy, and I really want to thank you very much.
That's like the most positive way we could send that off. I love that. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you're out here doing it, man. I'm glad you're out here doing it. Every time you put something out, man, I know.
Because the people know, man. I can talk about me working with Martin Garrix. People know. I
Yeah.
can talk about working with Afrojack. People know. You know, Yellow Claw. People know. Barong family. Oh, this is something I have to address.
Yeah.
So we went to China. With the whole Barong family, we went to Shanghai and we rented in 2 apartments, one to sleep and one to work. And what we did was we had a bunch of artists over. Mike Cervello, my brother, Yellow Claw, Moxie, Azar, Julian Saboba.
Yep.
All these people in from all over the world and joined in one place. And we sat there for like a week and a half. And we just worked on an album. And it's crazy. We made so many records.
Wow.
We could do a whole year catalog with that. But we bottled it down to two projects and a documentary.
Oh, wow.
It's a collaboration with Beats and Apple. It's just insane. The project is such a huge magnitude. What we were saying about Matt Deason,
Yeah.
Barong family is slowly growing
Right.
to that extent.
They're definitely one of the few like carrying the torch right now. And they have such a strong aesthetic too. Like they've always been really good about just being focused, you know?
Yeah. And you gotta imagine that because it was like Yellow Claws setting it up. It's like Jim and Nils who definitely ignited that flame. That was like, okay, because I was around, Weeback was around, for example, and we had trouble getting through the thick layer of American nationalism on labels in a way.
Yeah.
So we had to find our own and Yellow Claw experienced that as well. So what they did is give us a chance to release our records there. From one came the other, and we started hosting stages on festivals, and now we're already doing Tomorrowland a stage on Tomorrowland for the 3rd or 4th year in a row.
Crazy.
Yo, we had like Mustard played it and stuff like that. So
I saw that, yeah.
So his stuff is crazy, and you gotta imagine people like Julian Saboba. I met him in Texas playing in Dallas Fort Worth. I didn't know who the guy was.
Right.
And he texted me and I was like, yo, come over to the show. Got him into the show from Wonderland, my first American show, like my first run at least. And talked, and like I heard his struggle of trying to get out there, and I was like, dude, you know, come on, hop on this thing. And you got to imagine, Mike Cervello was my classmate in school, in this whole college thing that I was explaining. And he didn't have a career. He wasn't doing shows.
Yeah.
And then I was like, dude, you're so talented. And like, he came over to my house and we would chill, and he would live in Amsterdam and I would live in a small town still. So every time I would go to Amsterdam, I would be at his place and be like, yo, I was already working with Yellow Claw. I was like, dude, I didn't even get into that, like how I met Yellow Claw. Wow. We have so much more to talk. We got to do a part 2.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a part 2.
Barong Family, Shanghai Nights documentary dropping soon. We got an album dropping soon, brand new song by me and Looney Tunes, Shake It, out now on Apple Music. And much more to follow.
That's going to be crazy. Well, man, thank you for taking the time and doing this, dude. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, bro. I want to hug you over the microphone.
Yeah, well, we'll turn it off. We'll give each other a hug right now. All right, peace.
Love.
right, that's the show. Shout out to Cesco. So glad we just linked up last minute, man. What a pleasure. What a treat to see you. For everybody listening at home, I hope you had as much fun going on that ride as I did. Such an interesting guy. My name is Willy Joy. You can email me at backtobackpod@gmail.com. At Willy Joy or at backtobackpod are the social media handles. Don't forget to go follow the Back to Bangers Spotify playlist. Link is in the description of this episode. And that's it. I hope everybody out there is staying cool. Hope you're having a great summer so far. I've got some really exciting things to share with you coming very soon. But for the time being, have a great week. I will talk to you next Tuesday. For Back to Back, peace.